Welcome to this MuddaCluckin podcast. I'm your host, Dean Austin, D to the E, the A to the N. I have comedian Ty Barnett, seen on Last Comic Standing, America's Got Talent, and many, many more. Yo, brother Ty in the house.
What up, man? How you feeling, bro?
Ty Beasy. What's up, man? How you
Good
doing,
to
brother?
see you, man. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. And it's always good to see you. Still look the same, man.
Oh my God. Well,
You still look. You can look great. Hey, gray don't hurt nobody. I got gray too, right up under here, but I shave it off. But
you one of them cats that just shave it off, though. That's what I said. Like I've embraced it. I've said, you know what? I'm sorry. It's part embracing it, another part laziness.
Okay, all right. So don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, Ty. Sometimes I let it grow out, and I when I let it get like yours, but not that long.
Yeah.
And then there are times I just shave it whenever I feel like it starts itching. It starts itching, man. I can't do the itching.
I've never now that I think about it, I've never seen you with more than a mustache. I've never seen. I had to come to think about that. So all right, but that's cool. I told you, man. Like I used to have. It's fun, how Facebook will send you these pictures, from back in the day, and every once in a while, it'll be a picture of me with just a mustache and the
little strip, looking like somebody's daddy.
I must have been on my Kobe Bryant shit then.
Right. That's all right, man.
But yeah, good to see you, bro. Good to see you, man.
Hey, likewise, man. Very good to see you, man. It's okay. So for everybody, this is my dude Ty Barnett, funny comedian. I just want to show a clip. I gotta show him a clip. I gotta show a clip, man, because you're a funny brother. Throw this in there real quick. Check my man out in action.
I knew I was getting older, by the way, when I started rooting against the kids in scary movies. Remember how you watch Friday the 13th, Halloween, teenagers do something stupid or rebellious, but you still want them to make it. You want them to live. You like, run in the barn, he's coming, run in the barn. Now I'm like, your mom and dad told you not to leave the house. It's a school night, you're being disrespectful.
My man, look at you working the stage like a professor.
Oh, man, dude, it's crazy. And it's weird sometimes. And, we've been in this business for a long time.
For a while.
And so when you see the work you put in, there's a part of us sometimes, and I know you remember the very first time you went on stage, but there's a part of you that when you see the results of that work, you're still in like, oh man, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Right. And you pretty much in awe because you like, I did that.
Right. Yeah.
I made that happen, Yep. That's what's so dope. I made that happen. I actually put in the work, put in the time, wrote the jokes, spend long hours out trying to perfect it night after night. And then you go, look, that's my baby right there. That's my baby.
That's it. It never, it goes, you remember every open mic you did. You remember every crappy road gig you did. You remember all the miles you put on your car.
Right. Sleeping in your car.
Yeah, sleeping in your car.
As a matter of fact, speaking of road gigs, man, I remember you and I been on the road many times, but we met up in West, Northwest Seattle area. And I remember one road gig, we were driving, we were going to get something to eat. And you was like, man, I can't eat that because my stomach. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what? You said, yeah, man, my stomach, it doesn't agree with me.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. We hit these spots. And I remember one gig, and I don't know if you remember this gig where we did a show. We were another comedian, and I don't know who the comedian was on stage, but in the middle of his set, he had to go to the bathroom. So he actually walked away from the stage, went to go to the bathroom. He did the number one. He wasn't that long, but then he came back and picked up. Do you remember that comedian?
I don't remember that comedian, but I got to be honest with you. I think I did that one time. I did that one, but again, it was number one. And dude, I'm talking about this was 40. Okay. This was 35 minutes into the set. In all fairness to myself.
Okay. I was there.
I do remember. I know what you're talking about, and I just can't remember who it was. But I do remember one time where I had. I want to say it was Harvey's. I don't know why I want to say it was Harvey's. But dude, I was holding.
You told audience, hold on a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm sorry. I went in, and you know what was? Here's the good thing about being a comedian is that you get about a good minute for people to think that you're just totally joking.
Yeah, for sure. They're like, man, he playing around. He coming right back.
Look at this guy going.
Right. They was like, he's serious.
Dead serious.
He came back. You still had water on your hands when he came back.
Oh my God, bro. And dude, so this is what because talking about the Northwest. Somebody hit me up yesterday, and they wanted to ask. They were asking about starting comedy, and they're in the Northwest, and they were asking me just tips on how to get started and stuff. And I basically told them, I said, well, the Northwest used to be like one of the best places, breeding grounds for stand-ups.
Right.
Brad Uptons that came out of there, your Rod Longs, your Ralph Porters and stuff like that. And so I told him, I said, man, if you really are serious about this, man, really take advantage of the stage time that area has to offer, because it's still kind of untapped. Right. It's not a New York, it's not a LA, it's not a Chicago or anything like that. So I told him, I said, man, if you get a chance, man, get as many of them reps in as you can. So, and
that's how it is in the Bay. From where I'm from, it was a breeding ground. Everybody was there. It was either the San Francisco comedy competition and the Seattle comedy competition back in the day, and I did both of them.
I never did the San Francisco, man. I never did it, man.
Yeah, man. But you know what? You know what the good thing about Seattle, bro? I don't know if you remember this, but the difference between Seattle and San Francisco is that Seattle would pay the comedians when you place. Yeah, you got money when you became a semifinalist and advanced. You got money before people whoever won the competition. You got paid, which was dope. Mm-hmm. San Francisco wasn't like that. San Francisco
it made it work for all the travel because you had to drive between.
Right. And it was not like a lot of money, but it helped. It was nice. It was a good gesture.
Back when they actually did make a dent in your gas tank.
Right, exactly. It definitely made a dent because gas back then was $1.92. Now we're looking at $6.
Oh my God, bro! Don't even get me started. I remember the very first road gig I did when I was still living in Seattle. I was living in Tacoma actually, and the gig was in Eureka, California.
Oh yeah, I know Eureka very well.
At the time, was it
Sweet River, Sweet something.
Yeah. She had a chain of them up in the.
They had it there, and they had it all down California. Right, yep. The chain of them.
Yep. And so I remember I was just excited to be going on the road to tell jokes.
Right.
But to give all the viewers a perspective of how little it paid. The only way I was getting there was driving. I wasn't making enough money to just fly to the gig. So I said, let me drive it. It was a 10-hour drive, 10-hour there drive.
There, one way.
And the gig paid $90. $90, bro. But here's the thing, I was so excited about the gig. And I was driving the Nissan Sentra at the time. So it did. I think I came home with $15.
Hey, you know what? And you know what? You were broke when you couldn't take Greyhound. You had to drive. Ooh. You had to drive, bro.
Oh,
10 hours.
Now, have you taken? Like, I've taken Greyhound twice. Never for a gig, but twice. I did one across the country, so from the Chicago to Seattle, and then one time from Seattle to Portland, which is, technically it's only supposed to be a 2 hour.
That's great. You had some great, Greyhound drives.
Oh, but no.
Your rides were good.
It was supposed to take.
Okay, all right. Supposed to. The key word is supposed to take.
Supposed to. Bro, I saw parts of Oregon I didn't even know existed. We went to one place, bro, that no BS, man. The sign on one of the windows said, "Now featuring indoor plumbing."
Now featuring indoor plumbing.
And when I tell you, I was like, "Where did we go back in time? Where are we?"
Right.
So
yeah, that's how it is, man. Okay, so mine was worse. I went from here, California, to New York for a gig
on Greyhound.
On Greyhound, you know how many days it took me? Ty.
You just now got to the gig. You just now
I got to the gig. They was like, "Good night." Just close the doors. Nah, no, I made it. But it was 4 days, bruh. 4
man.
days, my brother, for a gig. See, people don't realize what you put in.
They don't.
4 days.
Okay, so I gotta ask, how much did the gig pay?
Pay probably a couple $100. It wasn't that much.
Oh,
And some woman ate my cookies on the bus.
oh, bro, come on, man.
I was so mad. I offered her cookies, Ty. I said, we stopped at one of the little trucks. You know how they stop at all the gas stations.
Everywhere.
We stopped at the gas station. I was like, hey, I got some cookies. Would you like some? She said, no, I'm cool. I go to sleep. I wake up. I'm looking for my cookies. I can't find them. The wrapper's by her feet.
Oh.
She ate my cookies, and I was like, man, I was mad. I was like, and I offered, bruh.
I was like, you don't want to offer these? Is the thrill of stealing the cookies and
Yeah.
you eat the wrapper right there?
Right. It was the fact that she got to steal it, which gave her some excitement, I guess. As soon as I fell asleep, she grabbed the cookies, threw them cookies away.
At least left the wrapper away, man. Come on.
I know no evidence was still there. She was right at the.
Now, because what a lot of people don't get with traveling through Greyhound is that again they stop everywhere. Like
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Like it'd be like, well, it could be 5 miles. Like,
Stop.
We got to go all the way over this way to come all the way back this way, and we got to stop at somebody's house. It's like, who is this? It's the driver. It's a friend of his.
Yeah, he got to pick up something for his wife.
That's it. You're welcome to get out if you want
to. Right. Stretch it. They always say, stretch your legs.
That's it. Just stretch your legs a little bit. Man, ain't no way in the world. Like, if you saw me on Greyhound now, bro, believe me, I'm a fugitive.
Right, exactly. If you saw me on Greyhound, I'm trying to find out where you went so I can go.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's so I want to. What's your favorite and your worst road story? You have a road story that's pretty bad that you can share?
Worst road story. What was the worst? Well, you know what? It was the thing that made it the worst was the entire evening. But so it was in Grants Pass. Grants
Pass, Oregon.
Grants Pass, Oregon, dude. This was Dean, man. This is early. This was early on. I mean, you know, we know racism exists, of course, but to us young comedians, when you know we don't think about that stuff, we be like, I'm going on the road. I'll tell these jokes at this little small town. I'm gonna tell these jokes. So I get to Grants Pass, and I don't think I'd ever heard of the reputation of it. To be honest with you, I was just like, all right, it's cool. So I get there, and the dude who introed me, I'll never forget this, bro. I've been doing this 20 plus years. This is by far the worst intro I've ever received. The dude was like, first of all, there's no bar stool. There's no bar stool and no mic stand. So he's just holding the mic. He's just holding the mic, right? So he goes up and he's like, all right, you guys, here's your comedian. And drops the mic on the stage.
What? And walks away?
And walks away.
He doesn't shake your hand or nothing.
No handshake, no eye contact, no handing me the mic. Just drops it right there. You can hear the huge thud. And I remember at the time when it happened, I was like, is this dude just an a-hole? Or is this, what is this? You know? So I do my set. I think I made a joke about the fact that was the intro. And mind you, dude, I'd only been doing comedy at the time, probably like a few years. So it wasn't like I, was very seasoned in that type of behavior.
Right.
So do the show, finish the show. I'm sitting at the show went well. It's cool. I'm sitting at the bar, and a dude comes up to me, and somewhere in the set, I mentioned I was in the military. He's been in the military. So the dude comes up to me at the bar, and he's like, because the gig was inside of the hotel and all that stuff. So you remember, he comes up and he's like, yeah, man, I just want you to know, you're really funny, dude. You're really funny, dude. I said, man, thanks. I appreciate that. He says, listen, I'm just going to give you a little bit of advice. You don't have to take it, but I'm telling you, you might not want to leave the hotel tonight. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, it's let's just say for people like you, it's just not a good idea. And I was, dude, he wasn't saying it in a mean way. He was saying it like, I'm trying to.
I'm looking out for you. I want you to be okay.
Yeah. And so, needless to say, I stayed in that night, and I remember getting up as soon as the sun was out and getting the heck out of Grants Pass. So,
yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
That was probably the worst one, just because it was like, it wasn't even hospitable. It wasn't even hospitable, bro. It was just in you know, when you're young in this business, you know, you kind of chalk it up to, oh, okay, well, the show was fun.
Right.
Me looking at it now, I'm like,
that was wrong. That was horrible.
Really wrong, bro.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. That was bad. Now you have a good one. We all have had
best road gig. Best road gig. Hold on, because it's a lot. It's more good ones than bad. So
of course.
Have that. It's in New York. I would have to say it has to start with New York, because it's my favorite place to perform. And I had a paid gig, and actually, you know what? It was a cruise gig, but it started in New York. So okay. I don't really like doing cruises all that much anymore. But so the gig, it was a 3-day cruise. They paid me to go into New York, so they paid me to be in New York 2 nights early. So I got to stay in New York 2 nights free. Got on the ship, only had to do one show. The ship went from New York to Baltimore. I got off in Baltimore, went back to New York, and enjoyed the rest of the vacation. The rest of the trip. That was by far the best one, because it was in my favorite city. I got paid great money, and I didn't have to really come out of pocket in the show. And I got to do stage time in New York, so that was probably the best one.
I have one that's like the best and worst combined a little bit, I should say.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm in New York. It's a New York story. I just did Showtime at the Apollo, and I was out there hanging out.
The Apollo? That's what's up.
Yeah, I did like 4 times. But the very first time I did it, I was there, and I was, New York, if you're not from New York, you can be scary, especially a young man, comedian, don't know anybody. I'm in the post office about to mail something back to the Bay, to Oakland. And I'm nervous. So what made it the worst is that this woman kept staring at me. I mean, she was staring at me hard. And I was like, I'm not afraid of no woman, but this woman was tough. She looked like she could knock somebody out. She was big. She looked like she had brass knuckles in her pocket. She kept staring at me, and I was like, man, I'm about to get robbed. That's the first thing with my mind. I'm about to get robbed. It's a setup. They're gonna meet me outside. They're gonna meet me outside, Ty. They're gonna meet me outside. So I did what I was
to cover you, bro.
I was about to run. So after I mailed what I need to mail, I walked out kind of quickly. She came out behind me. I'm looking back. She said, "Hey," I was. Oh. She said, "Were you on Showtime at the Apollo?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I love your set." I was like, so it made my heart jump, but it made me feel good. It made me feel amazing.
And then
it was 2 emotions. Right, it was 2 emotions. I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." You
I appreciate that. Man, we good. No, we good. Okay. Sorry. No, say now. Let her go.
Right. Right.
Oh, but bro, I meant to. So the reason why I didn't think about it is because, like I said, it wasn't necessarily a road gig, but the worst situation I had on stage was up in Seattle. I don't know if you remember, it was this casino that they used to have in White Center or something, Tequila or something, somewhere around there.
In what city?
Like Tequila.
Oh yeah, up there,
like this little casino over there or something. And so again, I'd only been doing comedy really young, 2 years maybe. I still had a day job at the time, and they had a talent competition. Keyword. I thought it was a comedy competition.
It was talent, right?
Way different. So what I'm thinking is, okay, I get to see other comics, but I was the only comedian on the show.
Oh wow!
And
the comedian,
the only one. And so I was under the impression, I was like, you know what? Okay, well I'll use it to my advantage. Nobody else is telling jokes, so it should be to me. The show was supposed to start at 9:30. Did not start at 9:30. the people didn't even start arriving until 11:30, which should have been sign number one.
11:30.
11:30, 2 hours later. 2 hours later. And so it was rappers, booty shakers, strippers, all of it.
everything in you.
And then me. I didn't. They weren't ready for me to go on stage until about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. Yeah. Now here's the thing, Dean, and you know this, man. Like as performers, we're like, okay, we're taught to take these challenges because this is part of you paying your dues.
You're paying your dues.
Paying your dues is what it is. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, you know what? Cool. I'm just gonna go smash. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, Todd, don't nobody want to hear jokes at 1:45 in the morning after seeing ladies flash their boobs. Nobody,
Todd. Nobody.
So, but I was like, you know what? This is gonna be one of the moments where you just say, I rose to the occasion.
Right.
And so I go up, and the dude, bro, gives me this huge intro. He was like, yo, are y'all ready for some comedy? Yo, coming to the stage, man, you saw him on this show. You saw him on this show. And then, hey, man, I hadn't been on anything. I hadn't been on
nothing.
That's
funny. I love it.
I was like, I'm excited to see it.
Right.
Like, oh, wow.
You're like, I've been on everything.
All right, man, I'm very accomplished for somebody who's only been doing it a year or two. And so he gives me the mic, pound, shoulder, all that, all the love.
Right.
Everything, man. And so when people see me, they're like, who? Who is this? They don't know who I am.
They ain't seen him on nothing.
They ain't seen him on nothing. But I said, you know what? It's fine. Still, let's get it in. And at the time, I used to have this one joke that was a fail safe. Like it was like, everyone. We always have a joke.
One joke
that we know
is gonna hit.
It's gonna hit, regardless of how it's going. And at the time, it used to be this joke about the names in Washington State, like the name of the towns in Washington State.
Right.
And I'm not making this up. The joke was so time tested. I'm like, anytime I did this joke, it works. So solid. I'm like, I'm gonna do this joke. So I did that joke, and man,
don't tell me, Todd.
Not only did it not get a laugh, it was a girl standing not even 6 feet away from me, because it was like the people were on the same level as the people, right?
Right.
She was like, F you. And I'm like,
in the middle of the show? Why you was
as soon as I did the punchline. As soon as I did the punchline, she said that. And so again, I didn't know how to deal with hecklers. So I was like, F you. The Chicago in me kicked in, and I was like, well, I ain't gonna have you disrespect me.
Right, we're gonna go down.
Exactly. So then her dude stands up and says, F you. And I was like, F you too. So like, we just going back and forth. So then the dude, the promoter, sees this going on, and maybe in his head is like, hey man, you're supposed to be dealing with these hecklers. This is how you're supposed to deal with them. But I'm like, I'm new. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, So basically give me the sign to like shut them down or whatever. So I try to go back into the set. I try not to even acknowledge them. I'm trying to
right. And they cussing at you. You still try to get that joke out.
Oh my God, bro. And so then they both stand up at the same time, and they start doing it. So funny you just said the Apollo story.
Uh-huh.
They stood up at the same time and was like, boo. Boo.
They did the Apollo on you?
They did. They hit me with the Apollo thing. And so the person was just them two. So then the audience, I'm not shutting them down. The audience starts to boo too.
And they followed their lead and just start booing the audience as well. The audience started
booing as well. And I was like, man, I'm telling you, it was like and everything kind of seemed like I knew I was there, but something felt like I wasn't there. Like it felt like my spirit had left my body.
Right. Like you were just watching yourself.
I'm watching, like I'm
You hovering over the crowd
with a drink. I'm watching myself bomb. I'm like, I don't know who that dude. I know we look alike.
That dude, he bombing. I don't know who he is.
Yes, I know we look alike, but I don't know him.
Right.
So, like I'm like, okay, everything seemed like it was going for the longest time. So I guess the dude, I said, okay, thanks. That's my time. Thank you. And so the dude who just gave me that hyped up intro, bro.
What do you do?
The dude wouldn't even look me in the face. The dude
He's standing over there.
He takes the mic. He won't even look me in the face, bro.
He was embarrassed. He was embarrassed to even be around you, huh?
And dude, and he was like, "All right, you guys, let's keep it moving." Like, so I'm walking out of this place, right? And then no BS, bro. It felt like everything was going in slow motion.
Oh, I can imagine.
And it's just, I hear the boos, I hear and I see the looks on people's faces, and it's like, and I'm
as you walk out,
I'm walking out, bro.
That is so wrong. That's
dude,
worse than the Apollo.
Oh my God, dude. And I remember getting in the car, and at the time I still lived in Tacoma, and so I had about a 30-minute drive to the crib, and
you had time to think.
A lot of time. A lot of time to think. And again, remember, dude, I was very new in this. I was very new in the business. And the whole time, the whole drive back home, I kept saying to myself, I got booed. I said, I can't believe I got booed. Whoa. But here's what's crazy about it. The very next thought was, I can't wait to do it again next week.
That's amazing. That's what comedy is about.
And that was the exact moment I knew I wanted to be a comedian, bro.
And what's funny is one of the questions I was going to ask you, that leads right into it. I was going to ask you what makes a good comic. And that right there is it sums it up, because you were saying you said to yourself, I can't wait to get back.
Yeah.
After all of that.
Because in my head I was thinking that, that was, I was like, that's the lowest moment. I said, if I still wanted to get back and do it after dealing with that, then there must be something to it. Because I could have easily just been like, okay, so
right.
But in my head, I'm like, I couldn't wrap my brain around not trying to do it again and not getting on stage again. And so for me, I can kind of pinpoint back to that moment as far as my career goes, to where I was. Now, mind you, I don't ever want that to happen again.
No, you don't want to happen. But I can piggyback on that story and tell you, one time at the Apollo, I was performing. There was a guy before me. He got booed, and we were talking about being booed. Apollos, you get booed. Now I always went on as a guest. I never went on amateur night. I was blessed because I would not go in. If I'm gonna get booed, I want to get booed as a pro. I didn't want to get booed as some dude that just rubbed a log and I didn't want that. Right. Boo me because you didn't like me, and I walk off. Not have somebody come pull me off. So there was a guy before me. He did so bad. He went to the green room, Ty, and started crying. He was bawling. I went in there. Let me tell you, I went in there before my set, and I was next to console him. I told him, "Hey, bro, it's gonna be all right, man. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Keep your head up." And then Dean Austin. So I had to go get ready. I went down, did my set, and it's funny because I could have been selfish and be like, "Well, that's him.
That's him.
I'm gonna go do my thing." But for some reason, I felt compelled to go speak to him. I spoke to him, tried to make him feel better, did my set. Fast forward a year later, I called this brother. I said, "How you doing?" And that was the last time he did comedy. So, like you said, it can break you, or it can make you.
It can make you.
Choices.
Dude, that's wow. I actually thought you were gonna tell me that dude used it as fuel.
I wish. I know.
Yeah,
I know that's what you want.
But for him to, first of all, props to you, because a lot of people would have done. First of all, not only would a lot of people had not consoled him, a lot of people probably would have laughed and be like, "Look at this."
Right.
Dude. Yeah. But for you to have the mindset to say, "Hey, man, listen, let me tell you something, bro. Don't worry. It happens to everybody.
To all of us. Don't worry.
And so to answer your question, what people don't understand about this business is no one, absolutely no one kills every single time. Nobody.
The greatest of the great.
Bomb. I've seen Chris Rock bomb. I've seen Pryor bomb. You know what? And I don't know how many of the viewers know this story, but I'm sure you know of it. One of the greatest stand-up movies of all time, Richard Pryor, live on Sunset Strip.
What a story. Beautiful.
He goes up. This is the night before what we see. He goes up, packed house. And by the way, when you say packed, we ain't talking about packed house full of citizens. We're talking about packed house full of celebrities and celebrities.
Right. He's known.
He's known. Patti LaBelle is open for. We talking about known people. This dude goes up, is having a terrible set, and we're not talking about in some small bar where nobody knows you. You can kind of play it off or whatever. We're talking about the biggest of the big time, because again, the concert movie still was new. He was he was the
catalyst. He was the main. He was the dude.
He was the first dude to do it like that.
Do it on that level, right?
On that level. And so for him to say, and man, I'm telling you, Dean, when I've known about the story for years now, but when I first heard the story, I had to pause the TV and say, well, what? He what?
Yeah, he bombed.
He bombs
because you only see the finished product.
You see the finished product. He bombs, tells the audience in the arena, not the club, the arena. I'm just not feeling this tonight. Listen, you'll get your money back if you want your money back. If not, come back tomorrow. Tomorrow,
bro. And you have to think about the audience, because they paid, right? They can be like, nah, I ain't coming back tomorrow. Right? I'm busy tomorrow. They came back.
All came back. And he smashes it to what we see now.
Yes.
What we see now. And so this is what trips me out, though, is because that guy you talked to, I wonder if he knew that story. I wonder if he understood.
Right.
Greatest of the great.
The greatest of the great.
Had a lowest of the low and still came back. Not the next night. Most people be like,
the next night.
Give me a month.
Give me a week. Give me next weekend.
Yeah.
The next night.
24 hours from now, I'm about to come and destroy this. And that's exactly what he did.
And there's something else I want to add to that story. From what I heard too, is that the reason he was having a bad set is because when he went up, he actually did some of his material that he was going to do at the end, at the front of his show. And it just messed with his mind, because we're, how we are. We're methodical, even though we're free flowing and we're methodical. It's all intertwined like a boxer. We're like boxers. We have to be able to perform, step back, analyze, hit the crowd, step back, kick your material. Everything is so methodical. It's a work of art when you see it. So when you saw Richard Pryor do what he did, it was on some next level. It was nothing that we've ever seen before. To say, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. I got this. I'll be back tomorrow. Just come on back, or I'll give you money back. Just come back tomorrow.
And this is what I mean. Like sometimes, there are times where and we've all had these moments where we try to think, why are we doing this? Why do we put ourselves through this every night? We do it night after night. Everything is subjective. You don't know what crowd is going to be what. And so another way to answer your question is, I think you have to love this. This is not.
Yes.
I always say to people, and I say this to my wife, because my wife is very good at what she does. Like she's good at her job.
Right.
But she doesn't love her job. She's just very good at it. And so I would always tell her, I was like I love what I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so we had a conversation one day, and she's like, well, if you ever won the lottery, would you quit doing comedy? I was like, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't stop doing it. Meanwhile, with her,
she should be
gone. If they read the last number, she would be calling like, I quit.
Right. I ain't coming in tomorrow. No, never again.
You can throw everything away at my desk. I don't need it.
I don't need none of it.
I'm good.
Right.
Whereas, I love this so much that it is a part of who I am. It
Right.
is not just something that I do for a paycheck or because
Right.
it's not even about the accolades of when people say, oh, you just want the attention. No, I want the attention while I'm on stage. I want you to
Right.
listen to my thoughts, and that's cool. But you don't, and you know this, bro. The feeling you get from a thought being in your head, you write it on a piece of paper, you workshop it, you take it to the stage, and they laugh at what you have up here
In your head.
in your head,
That
and people you've never met are
never
laughing at what
from
you have
other
in your head.
countries, all ages. That's powerful.
Bro, it is such a it's such a gift. This is what I try to get other comedians to understand is that
Right.
please don't sell yourself short. No matter how somebody else sees it. I don't care how a booker sees it. I don't care how
Anybody, industry, doesn't matter.
I don't care what you do. And for anybody listening, please understand this. For you to have the ability to put something that came from your brain on a piece of paper, write it, and like you said, make it people in other countries laugh. You understand how hard that is?
It's hard.
Nowhere near easy.
Right.
So
Right.
it is a gift, and then I just wish more comedians treated it that way because that's what it's a special thing. And I have to always preface this because people think we're not doctors. I
Right.
get it. We're not
Right.
doctors. I get it. But let me be very clear though. You right now, you're smart enough to where if Dean, if you said, I want to be a doctor, you could go to school and read, you could study, you could learn procedure, you could learn surgery, you could do all that. You could train your brain to do it. But no one can teach you how to be funny.
No
one
one.
can teach you how to be funny.
No one.
So
No
so
one.
this is why I want comedians to look at it in that sense, and not saying that you're better than doctors. I'm just saying know that what you do is special. Know that
Right.
what you do is a gift and treat it as such and respect it. Respect it, and you should, it'll take you a lot of places.
Right. And that's why we're respected by other people in the industry.
Yep.
Actors are like, man, we enjoy and we love and we respect what you do because what we do is coming from us. It's not coming from somebody that wrote it down and you
Right.
have to read it. Now, we've both act. We've both been in a lot of projects. We both do stand up. But there's nothing like that stage. There's nothing like creating. There's nothing like putting the work in and watching the final product of something that
Right.
you perfected.
That's
Not
right.
someone else that sat in some office or was doing it at their house and they say, hey, take this and be funny, make it this. No, what you perfected. And that's a hard thing to do as an individual. So in some sense, I can see how they say comedians are geniuses because of the simple fact that our mind works a certain way. We
Yeah.
laugh at certain things that people don't laugh at.
That's true.
You know, we actually are creating constantly on if it's in your blood and it's your passion, you're creating 24 hours a day.
That's exactly. And
24 hours a day. It's not like you got Saturday and Sunday off
No.
or Tuesday off.
Dude, there will be times where we're out somewhere and I'll pull my phone out and I'll just type something in the phone while I'm saying the voice and my wife will be like, what are you doing? I was like, it's a thought or something. And she'll see it on stage and she's like, oh, okay, that's the thing
Right.
we're working on. That's because again, to us, I think our brains are 24/7.
It
Like,
is.
have you ever had a moment where you're dead tired, like you're in bed, dead tired, a thought pops in your head, and you're like, okay, I can either try to remember this tomorrow, or I can get up right now and I can put it down on a piece of paper, or I can put it on and I've done, dude. I forgot
Right.
what we were, and I had like all these thoughts, so I just kept sitting up, and I was like, okay, no, fine, okay, I'll put it in the thing. All right, and I would go lay back down for a minute. And I come back and say, no, okay, yeah, I can do it like this. And that joke ended up being, I used it for years. It ended up being one
Right.
of my jokes.
And it's funny that you say that because I remember being in bed in Canada doing some gigs, some one-nighters back in the day. And I was in my dream, Ty, I dreamt a joke. I dreamt it. I said, I thought it was funny in my dream. And I got up out of my sleep, like you said, and wrote it out the way I dreamt it. And I did it the next night, and it went over and I perfected it. But that next night I did it, it got so many laughs. This guy came to me, we're in the bathroom. This guy came to me and said, hey man, you did that joke because you want to get women, huh? I said, no, it was just a joke. but it was such a good joke because it was motivational to women, and the men felt like idiots because the joke was funny, but it was about men.
Yeah.
So that's why they was ragging me about it. But it was a good joke. So yeah, you wake up, you get it, you do it, and you take it out there. And I'm the same way. It's just in you. If it's in you, it's in you.
Exactly, bro. And that's so. This is why, you know, I, as much as I love this, you know, I have such an affinity for the craft of stand up that, you know, there's some times where I won't go to clubs because I'm like, first of
Exactly.
all, if I can't get
I understand,
on,
bruh. You and I are just alike. I was telling somebody that the other day, why you don't go to the club? Because if I go to the club, it's like a drug. I want to be on stage. I can't watch others.
That's right.
I can't. Look, now, if you're there, Ty, you my boy. I know you're funny. We go way back. I'm gonna go see you. That's different.
Oh, exactly. Like I would say,
but yeah. But other than that, I don't want to go out and comedy.
If you hit me up and you say, well, I'll be at the Improv, and I'm like, oh, cool. You know what? I ain't seen then in a minute. I go out there and I hang out. But believe me, I'm not going there and being like, oh, random Joe Schmo.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And it's not, and people don't understand, it's not on some hating stuff.
No, it's not.
It's the exact opposite. It's like if I walk into a room and it's packed, come on, man.
It's like taking the crackhead in the crack house. He ready for something. He ready for something.
Give me a
Come
little
on,
bit.
man. You ain't gonna share? You ain't give me a little bit? 5 minutes?
How many times you walk into a club and be like, can I just get a few minutes? I just need a few minutes. That's all I need.
Sweating. You ain't hit the stage yet. You're like, just give me 5. Come on now. Okay, 3. Give me 3.
Yeah, we'll negotiate. Dude, so we don't like, you know, when we first start, me and my wife first started dating, she would ask me that. She'd be like, so you don't go to the clubs just to hang out? I was like, no. Why? Why would I do that? Why would I go and torture myself?
Exactly.
When I know I can't get that. That's how much I love it. Like I walk into a room and I'm like, yo, this is the energy. This is what I want. This is my time to play. Because any other time I'm very, you know, reserved. I'm very kind of like,
yeah, likewise, chill.
You know, very chill. But you put a mic in my hand, and you
it's home.
Let's go.
Right.
So I don't go around it if I can avoid it.
And I tried to explain this to a comedy manager. She's a new comedy manager starting out, and I tried to tell her, look, I don't go because I can't be there. You don't understand. I told her the exact words you just told me. When I go, I want to be on stage.
I want to be on stage.
You know, my boys that I love, I respect. This my partners like you and Shang and, you know, Alex Thomas and people. I'll go because they're my boys. I know y'all. I want to see y'all. I haven't seen y'all in a while. I want to connect. Other than that, I ain't going.
I just saw Alex the other day, by the way.
Oh, at the Comedy Chateau, right?
Yeah.
So, that's my dude. Yeah, I saw him at Third. It was a Third Street Promenade. What's it called? The one over there off of Fairfax and 3rd Street in that area, Farmers Market area. Saw him over there.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, it's really, and this is why like, you know, a lot of comics. The thing about stand up is it's such a hard thing to do. Be good at, I should say. It's a hard thing to be good at. That when you develop a skill set and you want to share it all the time. So it's not really this thing where you're like, oh, okay, I'll kind of just go and just sit around and watch. So where I live at now, we live in the valley. We live in the valley now, and so there's a place up the street from the house, and it's a little bar. It's fine, but I was like, it's walking distance from the house. I was like, oh, cool. You know, let me go down there, introduce myself to the dude who runs the room, and you know, when people don't know you, which is fine, it's totally fine.
I know where you're going because I know the same person,
you know,
and I'm here with you in the same area, so I understand. So, right.
You know, so I walk in on the humble, and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm Ty Barnett. I was just wondering. And he's like, hey, Ty, how are you? And it's like, I'm cool, man. I just wondering about how does this work. I'll just put your name on the list, the open mic list, which I haven't put my name on open mic list
in forever, and I'm not gonna do it. Right.
A long time. So, and I look at the list, Dean. I'm 3/4 of the way down on the list, but I said, you know what? I don't have to get up early tomorrow. I'm right up the street from the crib. But I did tell my wife, though, I said, hey, babe, I'm just going to go check out this place. I probably won't even be long. That's before I saw the list. So, so then I texted her and I was like, hey, if you want me to come home, I'll come home now. But if not, I'm probably just going to be here and wait this out. Because I didn't want to be rude. That's the thing. I didn't want to be rude to the dude and be like, hey, man, again, my name is Ty Barnett. You should probably Google me.
Exactly. So, just do a little Google.
I'm not an open micer. No disrespect, open micer.
I'm not trying to be arrogant and cocky.
Exactly. It's a hard way to go in like
it's
that.
It's a hard way. Hard way.
So I said, you know what, Ty? You ain't watched the open mic in a long time. Come on, man. You ain't got nothing to do. Sit and watch the open mic.
Right.
So then a friend of mine came in. We chopping it up and we talking, and so he goes over to the dude, and I didn't even ask him. But this is to me, I would like to think it's a testament to the work that I put into this business. He goes over to the guy, and they're talking. I didn't even see this. Like, he comes over to me after. He's like, "Hey, man, I just told him who you are and who." I said, that's a killer over there. That's a dude.
Right. He assassin. Right.
Yeah. So, and I said, "Oh, man, I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, bro." So we finished and try to watch the open mic. And Dean, I'm telling you, man, it was so bad. It was so horrible to watch. So at one point in the show, I do like this, and he looks at me like, "You ain't been to an open mic in a long time, have you?" I was like, "No."
I wouldn't even know what that feels like, Ty. I wouldn't know what that feels like.
Man. And so I go to the guy. And I say, this is after about another 20 minutes. And man, because people were in there, they doing all the drinking and stuff. And it was a weeknight. So I'm like, I'm not trying to get drunk on a Tuesday. We ain't doing that. So I go over to the guy to say to him, hey man, look, you know what? I just want to introduce myself anyway. I live right up the street. I'll just come back next week. As I say that, the guy says, "Oh no, hold on, man." He said, "You know what, man? How about this? If you stick around for a little bit, I can get you a solid 10. I can get you 10 minutes." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm thinking he's putting me up next.
But bro, so it's continued.
So still another 20-some minutes of watching this.
Right.
Anyway, long story short, I get on stage. Great set. I mean, people are now paying attention. They're doing all this. Now they're laughing at the show and all this stuff. I finished the set. I'm outside, and so the dude comes up to me. And again, I would like to think this is a testament to the work I put in. He comes up to me and he says, "Man, now listening to you, I listen to you on Sirius XM all the time." He said, "Man, from now on, when you come through, hey man, whenever you want, you can get on stage." And I said, "I appreciate that, bro."
And I understand what you're saying, because I went to see Danny Green, my boy, hang out with him over there at the spot, and everybody from Retha to Dan and everybody said, "Hey man, Dean is a beast. You got to put Dean on." He says, "Well, have him come do do an open mic on a Sunday or something at 4:00." And I'm like, he's not gonna Google my name, which is fine. I don't mind. I don't care. But I'm not coming at 4:00.
Exactly.
That's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit around, sign a list. And what happens is he'll have you sign a list, and then I know someone else that signed a list that was a vet that he said, "No, come back next time." I'm like, dude, you did that to a vet?
Mad disrespectful.
I'm like, that's disrespectful. I was like, I won't put myself in that situation. I'm cool. So, that was months ago. So Kathy Lewis hit me up because she's doing a show and she wants me on it. That's why I'm doing it now. And they'll see me. But when they see me, they'll understand.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't trip. I don't trip off of nobody. I just do my thing and just stay in my lane and focus on my comedy.
That's what's hard sometimes is to remain, because it's not on some ego stuff. It's really it's not that. It's just about like, hey man, you as being in this business, you should be able to recognize a vet versus someone who is new
correct
and trying to figure it out.
The moment they walk in that door, how they carry themselves.
Exactly.
You can tell a micer and a vet when they walk in that door. Straight up.
And it should be very obvious as far as like when you say, because again, if I would have walked in on some rah-rah like, "Yo man, I'm Ty Barnett, yo, put me up." Okay, because that's rude and I'm awesome, But if I say, "Hey man, how you doing? My name is Ty Barnett. I'm obviously telling you my name, my full name.
Right.
So,
And you did that on purpose. There's a reason why you said I'm Ty
very
Barnett.
purposefully.
Right.
My full name. Here you go. I live up the street, and at first I was like, maybe I should say it like I'm getting ready for the Tonight Show. Maybe I should say something.
I know that game. That's a good one. Yeah.
That way he'll be like, oh wait, so you get
okay, straight. I got you right immediately.
Exactly. So, but then there are also these new cats, man. These new cats, Dean. Hey, man. They don't have no respect, bro.
None. They don't respect. We the OGs to them. And there's no respect. And us, our generation respected Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Carlin and the people that paved the way that was before us. And we learned from them.
Yep. All of them.
And when they walked in, we gave them mad respect.
Super respect. Dude, I saw somebody post something on Facebook, and I couldn't even believe this chick. She said something to the effect of, don't you think it's time that we stop talking about Richard Pryor as the GOAT or one of the GOATs? Or I think
it's not a comedian. Comedian?
Comedian. She said he's taking up space in the icon conversation. Now, first of all, there is no time limit on being an icon. There's no expiration date on an icon. Once you reach iconic status,
you are icon. You live on. Right.
You live on. That's why it's called an icon.
Right.
So then when I saw that person's comment, the first thought in my head was, this person must be super duper funny. Because there is no way you are coming with the king if you aren't at least on the same level, humor-wise.
Right.
And so I wrote a couple other comments and said, hey man, who is this? Who is this chick? And it's like, oh man, she on some other stuff. And so it was a chain that went of this person making these comments. And she's like, I'm just saying, my favorite comics are she named Eddie Griffin, Damon Wayans, some other people, and I was like, you don't think those people were influenced by that?
Exactly.
They studied that guy.
Right. That's why they are where they are, because of that guy.
So yeah, man, it's a trip because again, man, the level of disrespect that I see nowadays is I'm honestly
it's horrible. As a matter of fact, I met a comedian that didn't know who Dave Chappelle was. And that's, Dave Chappelle, he's a new king. He's not even the old school. How you not know this? How you not know the
special every Tuesday?
You don't know what the Chappelle show is, and you're a comedian?
Yeah. Come on, man.
I'm like, come on, man. You don't know Ashley? Because Ashley Larry was performing Donnell Rollins at the Comedy Store, and that's why I said it. I said he's on the Chappelle show. You don't know Donnell? Nah. Okay, all right. So you know who Dave Chappelle? And I said, you know the Chappelle show? Bruh, I was like, wow.
Black?
No, not black. Not even white, but another ethnicity. But yeah, basically, yeah.
Dude, but see, now that's what trips me out sometimes, because you feel like
definitely not black.
Even television wise, you should know. Even let's say you didn't know, you don't travel stand, because in all fairness, stand up is not what it used to be. So like, remember, like when we started, and for the people watching, we're gonna age ourselves here.
Right.
There used to be where you had to go get VHS tapes, and you would put yourself on the VHS tapes, and you would have to dub the VHS.
Right. And they say, "What's the dub VHS?"
Because the post office with
it's in the mouth.
Exactly. Maybe you had to print all the labels off at the same time.
Right.
All that stuff. So you would have to send it off just to get club work.
That was our social media. It's sending out VHS, right?
There was no such thing as links. None of that stuff.
No
right?
MP4s, no wave, none of that.
Your own website, you didn't have your own page, none of that.
Facebook, MySpace, none of that.
None of it. So if you were talking about somebody that wasn't known then, you didn't know them as a club comic, that would make more sense to me. But when you have somebody that's like, the dude had one of, if not the most popular cable show for 2-3 years.
Right.
It kept Comedy Central
Alive.
on.
Yes.
Alive.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it paid the bills for Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm.
So but that's what I'm saying. It also kind of speaks to, you have less students of the game now.
Right.
You have less
Sure.
students. So, and
because they're actually getting into it because of not the reasons because okay, so when we got into it, there's a passion behind it, there's a camaraderie. We wanted to learn about the past comedians, so we can be better. But now comedians get into it because they say, okay, I want to make some money, I want to be famous, I want to make some money, I want to be famous. That's it. There's no other reason. Maybe get some girls, maybe get some drinks, right.
There's no love. They didn't say because I love this. When we got into it, bro, now mind you, yes, there are times where we said, oh, some cuties in there, cuties in the audience.
Right.
my boys in Seattle, we used to always joke about that. There'd be comedy nights, we go look in the audience and we'd be like, oh, now I've got to bring the A material tonight. Honey's in the audience, man.
Right.
But other than that, it really was about the last. What we did, bro, was we would watch the vets, and like you said it earlier in the show, we would watch the vets and listen for the laughs and look at the laughs that they were getting.
Right.
And we were like, whoa, look at it. Man, that person's doubling. Oh, man.
Yeah. Did call back on that? Wow. Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? And
right.
So our ear got used to that. That's where we got used to that reaction. So we said, okay, that's the standard. Right. That's the level of laughs we got to get. That's the reaction. If you're not getting that reaction, something's off. And so that's how we came up in it as students in this game. A lot of these people now, bro, they don't believe in being students of it, and they're not honest with themselves. I told you I had someone asked me about comedy the other day, and I told him, I said, listen, I can't tell you what to write. I can't tell you what material to write. I will tell you this though. I said, write what you believe is funny. 1, 2, be honest with yourself. That is one of the hardest things, but most necessary things for a good comedian to do, is be honest with themselves. You know what real laughs sound like, because you know what makes you laugh, and you know what makes you laugh versus chuckle. And too many people are getting chuckles nowadays, and they feel like that's the equivalent of a big laugh, and it's not. Right. It's not. Too many people are just and they're also bringing their buddies with them. And don't get me wrong, it's cool to invite people to see you once you're established and you know your craft and you're good at it. Right. That's great because that's extra support. But if you only bring those people with you, and those are the people that are laughing for you, hey man, let's say your entourage and you're gonna fill up the room with them. Right. You're gonna have a rude awakening, bro.
That's true. When you get on the road, you can't take them with you.
The road people don't care about your feelings.
They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about what you've done. They don't care nothing about your feelings. They only want you to entertain them.
That's it. That's
they
it,
only
man.
want to entertain them.
They don't and that's what I think if you had more students in the game, you would have a lot more overall better comedy.
Correct. That's true.
And I don't think a lot of people don't feel like they have to be that. And there's a part of this that is not just the performer's fault. Because let's be honest, let's say both of us are 2 years into the game and someone offers us a Netflix special. Neither one of us turned it down.
Right.
Neither one of us turned it down. Because it's exposure. But what should happen with us is we should
be honest, say, I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. Let me get ready.
Right.
Let me surround myself with people that's going to help me get ready, because that's going to live forever. Once they film that, people will be able to see that forever. That exists. So why would you not want to shine yourself in the best light? I've seen so many people didn't get these specials, bro, and then they think people like us are hating on them. First of all, I can't hate on funny. It is impossible for me to hate on something funny. I can't.
Exactly. I feel the same way.
My brain won't even allow it. Now, and you don't even have to name the person, but think of somebody that you don't personally like, but professionally, they're funny.
Right.
Whoever that is, right? So this is why I was trying to tell people, it's like hating on somebody is saying, I don't ever want anybody to succeed. Ever. No. Being critical of somebody is saying, nah, I'm sorry. I've either seen that before, or it's not funny, it's not developed, I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Right.
It's like I do the same thing with music, with hip hop. I just got into this discussion with somebody, and they were talking about how they said Tupac is the best rapper ever. They said he's the best rapper to ever touch a microphone. And I said, well, first of all, you're saying a lot. You're saying out of the history of hip hop, that
right.
one dude has a better lyrical. I said, now we're talking different things here.
Right.
Are you talking about his influence? Are you talking about his popularity? I said, now if you're talking about that, yes, he is definitely one of the most popular rappers to ever exist. Sure. If you're talking about socially conscious, yep, he's definitely one of them dudes.
That's right.
But if you're talking about bar for bar, lyrical skill set,
right.
He's not even in the top 10. He's not in the top 10 of best rappers, best
right.
MCs. I can name 10 off the top of my head.
And there's a lot of brothers, a lot of MCs, black hip hop artists that give Eminem props. Like they say there's brothers that love Eminem because of his lyrical style. Yeah. And he can rap around anybody.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, so when you see people, you say lyrically,
yeah.
So this is where when I bring it back to comedy, and I say, listen, if you're talking about popularity, that's way different than joke skills. That's way different than what you do on stage. Like, I know people who I personally would not hang out with, but they may have a joke or some jokes, and I'm like, man, that's a good joke, man. That's funny. I ain't gonna front. That's a funny joke. And too many people are too afraid to say that part and just say, man, listen, that person got a break. That's great. They got a break. But just because you see them doesn't mean that they're the best. When they say popularity, McDonald's is popular. McDonald's
very
is
popular. Right. But it ain't the best.
Yeah, man. So
that's true. That's true. Now, a lot of people always, and you've gotten this and I have, people always say, hey, do you ever get nervous before you go on stage? I know you've gotten that many, many times. Now, what do you say to them? Because I know what I say, but I'm curious on what you say when somebody say, are you nervous before you go on stage?
It's cliche a little bit because, they said it's good to have nerves, which is it. It is good to have nerves.
It is.
I always say it's different between nerves and being anxious. When you
on point.
You know what I'm saying?
On point.
When you're prepared, I think it's more you're anxious, like I'm ready. But in your head, you're like, okay, because like you said earlier, these are your babies. I brought my babies with me, and I want you guys to see my babies. These are the babies. Right. And so we're like, okay, I hope this audience loves this and it's cool. But it's more anxious and nervous. Nervous is like, I will tell you, I the very first time I did the Tonight Show was nerves. It was nerves. It was some nerves.
But you still had angst in there too, though.
Yes, exactly. And that was so it was like, and I'll tell you, man, here's what's crazy about it is that when I got the call to do it, I think I'd gotten bumped a couple times. So I was not jaded, but I was kind of like, okay, I'll do the show, and then you'll change your mind as soon as I get to the studio, whatever. So I remember wasn't thinking about it the few days before, wasn't thinking about it the night before, wasn't thinking about it when the car came to pick me up, wasn't thinking about it on the way to the studio, wasn't thinking about it when I went through the gates of the studio, wasn't thinking about it when I walked into the dressing room. And so then when I realized they weren't gonna bump me, that's when
that's when you're like, okay.
That's when my heart was like, wait, so I'm actually,
is this really happening?
So we really doing it?
You mean I'm really getting on stage tonight?
Okay. So I remember them walking me backstage, and I'm telling you, Dean, like very rarely have I ever felt like I was gonna pass out. And my heart was beating so much. And you know this, dude, like it's not that you're not prepared. It's that you're like, this medium here is new. I'd never done the Tonight Show before. So I'm like, I cannot mess this up. This is not a club. I cannot mess this up.
Right.
In a club, if a joke doesn't hit, the joke doesn't hit.
It's a club.
But it has to hit here. And so you're prepared, like you have in your brain, you're prepared. I have it prepared, but you don't know. And so you don't know how it's gonna go. So I remember standing backstage, and I remember asking us, I said, "Do you guys have a bag or something? I need to get into a bag." And so my heart is pounded, bro. And Jay was hosting at the time, and the only thing that helped me relax, and this is what I mean, but like sometimes you never know how a moment is gonna hit you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing backstage, heart is pounding, I can feel it pounding through my chest, bro. And I'm like, okay, I can't, man. I told everybody I was doing this show, man. I can't mess this up. And so the only thing that helped me relax was, you know how you're supposed to tell them what you got coming up so they can promote it when they introduce you, whatever, right? Apparently, I told them that the next gig I had was at a club in November, and I was doing the show in August or something. I was doing it in August. So I remember Jay comes out and he's like, "Okay, all right, you guys, this next comedian comes to the stage. He can be seen at this place in November." And he's like, and I don't know, and at the time I didn't know how to take it, but but this is what I mean by when you laugh, it helps you relax. He says, "Well, apparently he has a lot of time off." And man, it made me laugh.
Right.
So all the nerves I had instantaneously went away. Me laughing at the joke he made at my expense, but I mean, it was okay.
Right.
So I go out, do the set, and it was cool. But I'm telling you, bro, I did not relax until that very last second when I laughed. And sometimes it still happens to this day when I get up on stage, when I see somebody. You ever go up on stage and you see somebody killing, like just killing? You're like,
right,
man, I gotta follow this. But then they say something that makes you laugh. You're like,
okay, right, I'm cool. And it's funny you talk about passing out because I know the feeling. I did my first time doing the Apollo.
Bro, I'm tripping off of that, by the way.
Look, Beverly Johnson was hosting because the model.
Wow.
You know she's beautiful, right? She's a gorgeous sister. So she was hosting because I think Mark wasn't there. Mark Curry was hosting, I think, at the time. And she gave me the best intro I ever got in my comedy career. She went to give me a hug. When I ran past her, I did not even look at her. That's how nervous I was. I did not hug her. I ran right past her. You see the tape? I was straight to the mic, hit my first joke, bam, and then I killed. It was so, the set was so good. I got a standing ovation at the Apollo. People were crying. It was amazing. And I got off stage and I walked backstage and both legs cramped up. Both calves, like I was going. I don't know what adrenaline. I don't know what it. I felt like I was going to pass out. So I know the feeling, and I felt bad because Beverly Johnson gave me this intro. She said something like, there's been a lot of stars on the stage from, this person, that person to Richard Pryor, and now we have a new star. That was her. That was love. That was love. Give it up to Dean Austin. I went right past her.
Yeah. Thank you. I gotta go.
I gotta go. I don't want to bomb.
Oh man,
the feeling. It's something that, it's something that when we in that moment, there's always something that snaps us out and say, "Hey, man, we got this."
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, no matter who it is, we got this because this is what we do.
And but a lot of that comes from the preparation.
Right.
And when you're prepared for it, that's when you say, okay, I may be a little nervous, I'm be mostly anxious, but I'm mostly prepared. Right. This is where a lot of these new comedians need to understand is that, like, yo, there's a huge difference in being funny in front of a computer screen on your phone for 5, 10 seconds, 30 seconds on a video versus being in that room. and that same people they can see you.
Right.
They tell the joke, they react or whatever. Right then, that's a different kind of mindset. That's a different animal. But if you're prepared for it, you give yourself a better chance to navigate through that. Real quick before I forget, so you brought up Mark Curry and someone to say like how this younger generation is mad disrespectful. So I was at the haha one night, and so Mark was going up, and the person that went up before him was a YouTuber or a TikToker dude. Okay. So, no, I'm sorry, he went up after Mark. So let me take that back. So the host introduces Mark Curry. Now, again, dude, this is what I mean by like it's weird that these people don't make the connection of celebrity and accomplishment nowadays. So the guy goes up and he says, "All right, man, you guys coming to the stage, man, hanging with Mr. Cooper, blah blah blah," and he gives him you guys, Mark Curry. Now, people don't understand. Mark Curry had one of the most successful shows on a major network for multiple
years. Yeah, syndication.
Years.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't like some small drop in the bucket thing. Hey, every black person knows hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Correct.
They know this, right? So he goes up, Mark goes up, does his thing, and you know he does his set. The next person they introduce, bro, is they say, yeah, this next guy comes to the stage is very famous on TikTok. Give it up for such and such. That's the only credit the person had. It's very popular on TikTok. The guy goes up. I still can't believe this kid did this. It says, all right, you guys, wait. I noticed you guys clap for the other dude. Wait, so y'all really know who that is? Who?
So disrespectful.
And bro, we're waiting. We're sitting in the back, and I kid you not, all the comedians in the back like stopped what they were doing, like because we thought,
right,
there's a punchline coming to this. There's no way
he's just gonna say that.
You ain't gonna just say that. And he's like, and so the audience kind of stopped and it's like, yeah, that's Mark Curry, Mr. Cooper, and he was like, oh, so y'all really do know who that is? And he's like,
nah, that's so disrespectful.
I was like, man, y'all young ones, man, y'all want some other stuff, bro.
Right.
Stuff, man. Like how you dog a dude that had his own show.
His own show on ABC.
On ABC, he had his own show. So
you know, ABC ain't no, it's hard. ABC is not.
By the way, that was back when ABC was a major. I mean, it's different nowadays because you got so many other television avenues and stuff. But at the time, millions were watching that show a night. Millions.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, man.
And it's funny because you know, he was one of my guys I looked up to when I first started in the Bay. Mark.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's from up there, right?
Yeah, from the Bay, from Oakland. Yeah, so taught me a lot. I would MC and host all his shows when I first started. Wow. Every last show I was on the show. And then there was a guy named Frank Ergus and D. Allen Moss. Those guys was like, so there was always some cats in your town back in the day that you admired, you looked up to, and you respected, and you learned from.
Yep.
And these young cats don't have that at all. They don't have that at all. Now, on my podcast, I do something called RQT time. It's random question time. It's just a random question, and you just answer it, and you say why. Okay. All right.
You want me to answer it with why, or answer the question?
Answer the question and then tell me why.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So the question is, it's kind of like a rather would you do one. Okay, so would you rather slap the officials, the lawmakers, or whatever in Georgia who said that black folks can't get food and drinks while they stand in line voting, or would you rather slap the supporters of Stacy Dash that was talking about cancel BET and Black History Month? If you had to slap either one, which one would you choose to slap first?
The lawmakers.
And why?
Because that, as much as I don't like Stacy Dash, the ramifications of telling people that they can't eat or drink while they're voting and casting, which they have a right to cast votes for people who make laws and all that stuff, which is way more important. Those are the people I would slap more. Now, don't get me wrong, I would slap the lawmakers, but I would shove the people for Stacy Dash.
Okay, good. All right.
You gonna catch something.
You're gonna get something, right? I kind of figured that would be the way, because I feel the same way. That whole, you can't have food and drinks while you stand in line. That's just
Dude,
that's horrible.
it's a trip to me, and I won't go off on time. I know, shut me down whenever you're ready. But here's and I just have to be clear when I say this, man, because what they don't, where we are as comedians, is hard for us. Is they think that all we should care about is telling jokes.
Right.
Well, we're black men.
And certain jokes. They don't want you to tell all jokes. But
Exactly, certain jokes.
Right.
We're black men, and let me tell you something. I just came back from Georgia, by the way. I was in Albany. I had a show in Albany, so I flew in Atlanta, and I had to drive about 2.5 hours to Albany. And I'm not BSing when I tell you, I saw 2 Confederate flags, and I saw 2 billboards advertising cotton.
Wow.
So
and you saw the kid, they were putting the cotton in his head on there.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. All right.
I actually, as I drove, things got more in black and white. When I got out of the car,
right,
black and white. There was no more color. It was just
no more color. Right.
So yeah, man, I would slap the people who say you can't get food and water when you're trying to.
Okay, all right. I like that, because that's how I feel, the same exact way. And lastly, before I let you go, you always hear people go, "Hey man, Ty, bro, I love your show. You're a very, very funny comedian, hilarious. I got a joke for you I think you should use on your next show." Now, how do you feel? Because I know how I feel when somebody say they want me to do their joke the next time I hit the stage, even though they say you're hilarious. They got a joke that will help your show, help you be a better comedian.
Man,
how do you feel, and what do you say to that? Because
I have mixed feelings, because there's a part of me that feels like you paid attention to the show enough to want to talk to me about the show, but that's here.
As far as it goes.
That's it. That's when people say, "Here, you can use this in your show." Man, the level of disrespect and it's weird to me. Like I have never ever. Even I've seen mimes. I've never walked up to a mime and say, "Hey man, listen, let me show you this move."
Right. That's good. But if you do it like this,
right. Oh man, that box thing, that's played, bro. You should try this thing. I've never done that. I've never walked up to a person that said they're a surgeon and like, "Hey man, listen, I saw this episode of Dexter. What you should do." I've never done that. So I and let me because when you were asking me the question, I had to think, have I ever used it? 20 plus years, 20 almost 25 now, 25 years in this business. I would say I've heard one, and I'm not even exaggerating, one suggestion that I thought was a decent suggestion to use as a tag, not even a whole joke,
right?
As a tag from a civilian. One. Wow. And I can't even tell you what it was.
And we as comedians, they think we like that though. You know that, right? They think, I know, man, this is gonna help your show, bro. This is you know that part where you say blah blah blah, say this instead,
bro.
Or add this.
They feel like, and no matter how good you did, no matter how well you did, you just got a standing ovation at the Apollo, and somebody still came to you and told you how to make your set better. I'm like, I don't understand that, man. And so there's a part of me that, I know this is what we signed up for. It's the business. It's just what it is.
Right.
There's another part of me that feels like, come on, man, just enjoy the show, man.
Yeah, this cool. Don't worry about it.
I'll figure it out. We good. We're good.
I've had people, and I know you have too. They be like, only reason I spoke during the show is I'm trying to help you out. Only reason I said something, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help your show out by saying something. You're like, oh, man, you're trying to help me out by speaking out during my show.
I told you, I don't know if I told you how I dealt with the heckler at the Comedy Store. Oh, bro. So I have 5 minutes, and you know this, bro. When you're getting ready for a short set, when you're practicing it, when you're trying to work out the material, you don't have time to play around. You know, television is very. You got this
bam, bam.
minutes. That's what you got.
Right.
So I was at the Comedy Store, and I'm trying to get my set ready. So I didn't really have time to do anything extra. And so I go up, and they even, I think somebody kind of announced it too, like this next guy comes to the stage, is going to be seen on the Tonight Show or whatever it was. They said he's working on his set. So hey, and I even said, yeah, man, I'm just trying to get these jokes together, this and that. There was a lady who was drunk in the back with a group of people. By the way, 98%, 99% of hecklers are females. That's in my experience.
And females are the worst hecklers. We both know that.
The absolute
They
worst.
do not close their mouth.
I've never had an ugly heckler. It's always a pretty one. Because
right.
Yeah. Anyway, so the girl is yelling automatically for myself, like 30, 40 seconds into the set. And I say to her, I said, ma'am, normally I would go back and forth with you. I don't have time right now. I really got to work on this. And I really did, bro. Like I had to submit this set that week. So like it was a time thing. So she's like, blah, blah, blah. I kept talking. I said, ma'am, and I'm trying to be nice. You go through the phases. You try to make a joke about it. She's still talking. So then she finally says, I don't give a F. I don't give a F about whatever. And my name is such and such, blah, blah, blah. I work at this place, this and that. So she gives me all this information while she's being like that. And nobody at her table is shutting her down. Nobody. So long story short, she gets kicked out. Now her friends are mad at me, which is weird because you let your friend, an adult, act like a child. Not even a child, because even children would have more respect at some point. So they get kicked out. But here's the thing. She had told me where she worked. And she told me her name. So the whole night, bro, I was just angry. I'm like, I can't believe it. Because the whole thing that got me was her saying, I don't give a F. That's the thing that got me. I was like, so I told you what I'm trying to do, and you have acknowledged that you don't care about that. I said, okay. So it kept messing with me. So she worked at the Standard down in LA.
Right.
So I said, okay, cool. So I called the Standard downtown LA. I pretended I was from 1-800-Flowers. And I said, hey, I have a delivery for such and such. Because they wouldn't just told me if I was said I'm the comedian from the night before and I want to go talk to this person who heckled me at the show. So I said, I'm from 1-800-Flowers. I have some flowers for such and such. Everybody loves to get flowers, man. Everybody. So they were super excited. It's like, oh yeah, she's right over here and this and that. They told me exactly where she was. I show up. She's a hairdresser at the Standard. She's working on a client. I walk in and I say, hey. And she says, can I help you? Bro, she didn't even remember me. She didn't even remember who I was. And I said, you don't remember me? And she's like, no. How can I help you? I said, I'm the comedian from last night at the Comedy Store. And she was like, first thing out of her mouth, bro, well, you can't be here. This is my place of business. And I'm like, what the hell do you think I was last night? What do you think I was?
Right.
What do you think I was doing when you were yelling at my show, when you said you didn't give a F about what I was doing? And by that point, everyone in the salon had stopped what they were doing. They looked at me. The person was on the phone, was like, he's not from 1-800-Flowers. We need somebody on here. So they get ready to call security. And I said to them, I said, no. You ain't got to do none of that. I said, everything is good. We're fine. I said, I just wanted to come here and give her that experience of understanding what it's like for somebody to come to your job and not care about what you do at your job. I said, we're fine. I'm leaving. I'm going to leave. We're good. And so as I'm walking out, the manager's walking up to me and she's like, and I even had to say, I said, we're good, ma'am. I already said what I had to say. I said, but just so you know, that's who represents you in the streets.
Right.
That's who represents your business right there. She did not care about what she did to me last night at the show. That's why I'm here today. But I said what I had to say. Have a good day. I'm out. As I'm leaving, the guy whose hair she was working on comes up to me and says, man, that was freaking awesome.
No one's ever done that. That is real. That's dope. That's hot.
So yeah, man, that's wow. So I have zero patience for him. I have zero tolerance for hecklers.
Right.
Because I respect this so much. I respect this business so much, dude. This craft, I should say. I respect this craft so much.
And I was on that footnote, I would say this. I respect you as a man, as a comedian, as a friend.
Bro.
And you know, like I said, we go way back, like old lawn chairs, you know,
That's
way
right.
back.
That's right. That's right.
But I will say this, man, and I have one more thing I want to throw out there, because I thought about this because we've been in the game for a while. Have you ever met someone that you admired or you respected in the business that was a OG that liked you, came to you, say, man, I'm a fan of yours. I like your material. I like who you. You
Um,
know.
I know somebody from before, and I just can't think of him right now. But Alex Thomas, actually, Alex Thomas, the other day, when I saw him at the chateau, because I've seen Alex, but I didn't know we knew. I know of him, and I didn't know he knew of me. You know, still, you know, in your head, you're like, I'm a performer. I didn't know. I don't know. You don't know who knows you. You just
Right.
know.
Of course. Of course.
So, and actually, it's funny because I told the story to my wife when I came back. So I see him when I'm walking in, and I was like, "Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?" Ty. He's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Ty? What's going on with you, man? Good seeing you." Good. And then, and so, you know, you just keep it pushing. You go do what you gotta do. So I finished my set. I come off stage, and he's getting ready to go up. So he goes up. He says, "Man, funny stuff, bro. Funny stuff, Ty. Man, wow, good." So he goes up. He references me a couple times in this set, comes off stage, and he's like, "Hey, man, great stuff. I just want to tell you, man, you're a funny dude, and you always been funny, bro. Wow, it's just, man, you just always been funny." I was like,
And that's what we, being comedians in the business for as long as we have, that's what we really love and enjoy, because someone, you could tell someone acknowledged you because you not just an OG, but because you're a master at your craft.
"Yeah,
And that's a beautiful thing. And that's what we're talking about, how these young cats don't really understand that.
they don't."
They don't understand it. And I'll tell you my quick story. I was at the Comedy Store one night and I was performing, and may he rest in peace, Richard Jenny got off stage. And I went to Richard Jenny. I said, "Hey man, I like your stuff, man. You're funny, you know. Do you know this brother said to me? He said, I'm a fan of yours." And he said that because he's seen me at the Comedy Store and maybe somewhere else, or maybe on Apollo. I don't know. But for him to say that, because that, to me, I was like, man, that's Platypus, man. He has so many HBO specials. He's a beast. So, you know, it's funny because we as comedians, we only our mind is like, we're focused on our comedy. We don't understand or really pay attention to who's paying attention to us.
Yeah.
And our own peers, which is beautiful.
That's the thing. Like
that's the best. That is the best.
The respect of your peers is like, I mean, don't get me wrong. As much as we do it for the fans, we do it for the as we say, civilians. We do it for them because those are people who help generate what we do as a business. You want the respect of your peers. I had Billy Gardell. He saw me in Vegas, and
Nice.
he's like, man, you're the real deal, bro. You're the real deal. And it was I was at the Improv, and another comedian. I can't think of his name right now, but I'd seen him on so many different things. And he says, "Man, I was watching you from the back, bro." He says, "Wow, man." He says, "Just wow." And so when you have those moments, because like you said, we do it for the audience,
Right?
It's for the audience. This is why we
For
get
the
on
audience,
stage.
right?
But when your peers recognize you,
It's there's
somebody
nothing like
as
it.
huge as Richard Jenny, bro. I mean, like you said, how many specials? How many?
I know it's crazy. It's crazy. I thought I was dreaming. I didn't know if I'm like I didn't. It caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it. I was going to compliment him,
Right.
and he said something to me. But
Dude,
I was on my.
that's when you know you're doing it right, bro. And but see, this is what we're saying, Dean, is that we come from a time and place. I always use the Jedi analogy. I always say we're Jedis, and we can either be the ones that really train, and we say, "Man, this is what we do. We go into this. This is how we become good Jedis, and that's how our mindset works."
Right.
Or you can be that person who just says, "Oh, I'm just kind of skating by." No, we came from a generation, bro, that we couldn't skate by. We could not skate by. Like,
No.
you remember, you had to have 20 minutes 20 to 25 minutes to host. Solid. Because people don't understand what it means when you say solid. They don't understand what it means.
Right. Solid is like, I have some.
This is very specific.
Today is
solid.
yeah.
you had to have 40, 45 minutes to MC to feature, and you had to have 60 minutes to headline. And let me know. I just want to tell you this really quick.
Okay, go ahead. No worries.
Anybody trying to, and this is what I mean by being honest with yourself. Every comedian has had to have a moment where they should, where you have to be honest with yourself. So you remember the Comedy Underground, right?
Yes.
So
in Seattle.
Yeah, the original one, not the one that was around the corner.
Right.
The original, the one that, oh man,
because I used to always I would always see you at the original one. I would always go up to yes.
I miss that club so much, man.
Beautiful club, beautiful people, everybody.
And the energy in that club, bro, it was nothing like it. It was one of the best clubs in the country. But
right.
Anyway, so again, I was still early in the game, and I used to carry this legal notepad, the yellow notepads with the, right? And on every line was a separate thought. Every single line, like small towns, stop signs, and that's all it was. Nothing was flushed out. It was just the thought, right? But I had 3 or 4 pages of nothing but that, right? What we now know are premises. So I'm thumbing through the notebook, and I forgot who it was, man. Whoever it was headlining that weekend, and he said, "Oh, how long you been doing comedy?" And I said, "About a year and a half, something like that." And he says, "Oh, okay, cool. I see you guys. He said, "How long you been? How much time you got?" And I said, "Dude, arrogant as hell, bro. Arrogant as hell." I was like, I say about 3 hours. I said 3 hours, right?
You didn't say 3 hours.
I said 3 hours, bro. I said I got 3 hours of material. And so he says, dude, and I could tell he was trying not to laugh in my face. I could tell. And he was like, really? 3 hours, huh? He says, you've been doing it about a year and a half? He says, wow. He says, you know what? Not even prior had that kind of time and that short of that much material in that short of time. He says, how much solid time? And I said, what do you mean solid? Which should have been
right. I got 3. Right.
It says solid time. It says, how much time do you have that from the time you say hello to the time you say thank you, good night, they're laughing? And man, I looked at that same notebook, gone through it, and I said, probably about 5 minutes.
That's funny. That's funny. That's hilarious. So, like you said, you got to be honest. You have to be honest. You get into the game, be honest with yourself, and don't you can't lie about it.
No.
You can't lie about comedy. You have to be legit, solid with your material, whatever it is, 5, 15, 20, 30 hour, solid.
And then a lot of people don't, if you do that, I feel like, this time in this business won't be perfect, but you'll have a better time navigating through it if you're honest with yourself about what you put out there and what you hear.
That's true. Well, Brother Ty, I want to say right now, man, thank you for coming on and blessing the mic and the screen.
Thank you.
Sharing my podcast, this MuddaCluckin podcast with a brother. And we got to link up and do lunch or something one day soon.
Definitely, bro. We not too far.
We're not too far.
Far from each other, bro. So were you in the Valley?
Yes, I'm in the Valley too. So we can make it happen.
Yeah. That,
we
gotta this heat die down first, bro.
Right. Out there melting. You're right.
Yeah, I'm sitting right next to the fan right now, bro. Like, I'm sitting next to one of them industrial fans.
Right, you got one of them fans that we having at the ballpark.
Bro, this is our second summer in the Valley, and
it's different. It's different because I know you lived on the other side, and it wasn't hot. I know
it wasn't. It was not.
Look, Brother Ty, you'll get used to it. It's gonna take a little bit, but you'll get used to it. But you will appreciate when you go back over there. That's for sure. When you drive over the 405 and you dip down and you feel the temperature change, it's a wonderful thing.
Man, to be honest with you, I was thinking about just going to the beach by myself. And I know my wife would be like, wait a minute, so you just gonna drive over there and cool yourself off while I gotta stay here and deal with this? So
right,
you have to drag her with me. We have to drive over.
Ain't no biggie, man. Like I said, man, brother, I'm happy to have you on, man. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, man. It's good talking with you, man. I didn't realize it's been that long since we had chopped it up. So
I know we've been planning it, but we're gonna make it happen.
Most definitely, bro. Be safe out there, man.
Thank you, brother. You too, man. Peace out.
Hey.